Tuesday night, if we can call it that. We can call it Tuesday night. The happy part, who knows? So, all right, let's see if we get some screen going and some 5x5s, and we'll see who the new champion, or if we have a reigning champion here. And I'm waiting on the screen, so let's see what we got here. And Robert says 5x5, and I see my screen, and Schulte Family Homestead, and Lucky Dame, and Finley the dog, and Charlie Tuna, so I guess y'all can hear me. Good deal. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another Tuesday night of God knows what. So, first off, I want to say thank you to, probably 50, 60, 70 of you guys today. For those of you that haven't heard, we had another fire today. The Azure Standard headquarters plant went up in smoke overnight. So I get a kick out of it. That's now in 10 days. We've had 4 different food processing food plants, at least, that I know of, 2 in Oregon now, 1 in California and 1 in Maine, go up in smoke. So, again, if 3 is a pattern, what the hell is 4? But thank you for everybody who sent me all the press releases. I've got it. I saw Preparedness Now / Prepper Now had put up the breaking news story on there, so hopefully it's got out to the world. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. It happened overnight, so that was the big part. It was their headquarters building, so it wasn't really a processing plant, but I guess this will have something to do with the oil that you can get, cooking oils and stuff like that you can get from. And a lot of you guys are probably, I know a lot of you are, but some of you may not be. I mean, this is a large organic food company that ships stuff, doesn't necessarily come to your house, but I mean, they drop places in different cities. It's funny because me and Mrs. P just got some buckwheat from them a week ago. So yeah, this is another hit to the food system, if you will. So it's supposedly not going to drastically affect their ability to get out food. But, again, somebody, ATF or somebody's got to do a investigation on this. I mean, this is getting a little ridiculous that food plants are going up this fast. 4 in 10 days that ain't normal. So, let alone Walmart distribution centers and all this other crap that's going on. So, okay. It's kind of funny that I did 2 videos today, and it seems like both of them wound up in the news. The first one I did this morning on knowing gun laws, right? Let's just leave it as knowing laws. It's been made official, I guess, guys, that you don't have to listen to what the court says anymore. Okay, doesn't matter if a court tells you you're going to jail, you don't have to. If you got a ticket and the court says you have to pay the fine, you don't have to. Why do I say this? Well, I'll give you a couple of stories. Story out of Durham, North Carolina today. Guy that was put in prison for murder 21 years ago was eventually found through DNA to be innocent. The prosecutor, the cops, everybody falsified a whole ton of evidence in this guy's trial, okay? And they've all been disbarred, fired, whatever it would be. Guy was released from prison, was given a full pardon. He won a $6 million lawsuit against the city of Durham. Court-ordered $6 million. The city council is refusing to pay. And the city council basically said they don't care what the judge said. They also want this guy to pay $4 million for their attorney's fees. Guy's been in prison for 21 years. Where the hell do you think he's going to get $4 million? Okay. So, yeah, the City Council of Durham, North Carolina has basically thumbed their nose at the legal system. But that's not the only one. Most of you guys probably saw this come out yesterday in all the videos that a federal judge overturned the mask mandate for being on airplanes, right? All the videos that were out today about the flight attendant saying, effective immediately, you can remove your mask, and the applause and everything in the planes. Well, God forbid a federal judge say that, because O'Hare Airport in Chicago is going to continue forced masking. They don't care what the judge says. They're going to do what they want. So again, who cares what a judge says? You just do whatever you want anyway. Now, on the forced masking stuff, this one's going to be interesting. Late this afternoon, the Potato Administration announced they are going to appeal that judge's ruling so they can reinstate all the masking. It's just, how much freaking control do they want? We don't like what the court says, so we're not going to listen to what the court says. Well, if that works for you, that works for me too. Okay. Like I said this morning, read the laws, know what the laws are in your state. But I mean, hell, if we're looking at this, who cares what the laws are? Do whatever the hell you feel like. Okay. So then the other video I got into was on corn. Okay. Anybody see what we found out today? China bought another 1 million metric tons of corn from the United States. We keep hearing about a corn shortage in the United States and all the stuff that we aren't going to be able to get, or all the stuff that we're going to have to pay more for because of a corn shortage. And so we are selling 1 million metric tons of corn to China. I want to give you this. This will freak you out. China now has in their possession 70% of the world's corn. 195 countries in the world. One has nearly 3/4 of all the corn. Got a problem there? Okay. They have roughly 25% of the world's population. They have roughly 3/4 of the world's corn. Do you think China might know something that the rest of us are ignoring? I mean, not you and me, the countries. It's kind of what I was talking about with gold when I was talking about it yesterday. The rest of the countries seem to be stocking up on it. We seem to be selling it. Are the people that run this country that incompetent? I know a lot of you guys say in the comments, oh no, they're just doing this according to plan or whatever it is. Okay. If they're doing it according to plan, that's fine. I guess China's not part of the plan. Poland's not part of the plan. Hungary's not part of the plan. Russia's not part of the plan. It doesn't matter if it's a plan, unless you can't have a world government unless everybody in the world is on board. So what we're having here is the U.S. government selling our souls to some jackass in Germany. Yes, Klaus, I'm talking about you. So, yeah, so that's the latest bits and pieces of information going on this evening. Lovely stuff there. On a good piece of news, there's a little bit of happiness here around the pinball house. After 3 years of planning for this, a couple of years of saving for it, we started knocking down trees for a pond today. So that was kind of fun. So, yes, there's a massive mess in the back corner of my property here with trees down all over the place. But backup water supply, that is our deal. And backup protein supply, because I will put fish in it, and fertilizer water for my gardens. So, yes, that's kind of all the points for all doing this. Okay, so, yes, there's everything that's running through this squirrel cage in this evening. All right, so let's get into Q&A. I want to remind everybody real quick, please, this is a family-friendly channel. Keep it PG-13. Your teenagers have heard the words that'll come out of my mouth occasionally. Your 6-year-old probably doesn't need to hear it. The one thing my moderators, Jacob, Robert, North Shore, Lucky Dame, and Lorna, and me, will not put up with is people being rude to each other, people being rude to me in here. We don't do second chances around this place. You want to be an ass, you can go do it somewhere else. First time, gone. Okay, done. Be polite. There's tons of people in here that can give you answers to about any question you possibly have. I don't have all the answers. I've never professed to. I've got a lot, but not all of them. If I don't have the answer, I can pretty much bet somebody in chat does. Don't piss them off, okay? Everybody here is trying to help everybody get a little more prepared every day by passing along the information that we all know to the rest of the community. No need to start being pissy about it, okay? If you want to be, you can go somewhere else. There's plenty of channels out there where people like a pissing match. This ain't one of them. So keep it PG-13, keep it polite, keep it friendly, and we're good, okay? As usual, stay out of the voodoo topics from YouTube, 2020 election, the jab ingredients, climate change, and of course now they don't like us talking about anything that's going on in Eastern Europe, because unless we're completely towing the Google line, they say, no. So, and like I've said many times, I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm not going to support either side, so therefore I don't toe the Google line, so therefore I won't be talking about it. So, all right. Guys, I will ask this, just like every other YouTube channel, if you've got a question for me, please put it in all caps. I 100% encourage you guys to have conversations in chat. Please keep those in lowercase letters. That way I can scroll through the chat a lot faster. 1,250 of you in here right now. There inevitably will be more as we keep going. It just makes it a lot faster. I can get to more questions. So let's get to the top, or as close to the top as I can get. We'll see where we go. All right. Okay. Looking for comments. Paul Garricky says, I hear New York City airports are keeping mask mandates in place as well. I have not heard that yet, though it wouldn't surprise me, which is going to be very interesting. Again, it comes down to one of these things. You want to wear one. Nobody's telling you you can't. Okay. You want to wear a pillowcase over your head. Go for it. They're just saying, just because you want to doesn't mean you have to force me to. That's it. If they're so effective, wear it. I'm not going to. No, I don't get on an airplane anyway. All right. Yeah, healthy disrespect for authority. Ain't that the truth? China has all that grain, and yet they're still starving their people. Ain't that the truth? You see everything going on in Shanghai, 25 million people screaming they don't have any food, and China's got all this freaking food. Excellent point. But again, kind of what they're taking it to here. Two classes of people, no middle class. The haves and the have-nots. Guys, you and I, they plan on making us the have-nots. If that ever happens, I plan on making them the be-nots. All right. Michigan Redhead, recommendations on who to order Mylar bag and oxygen absorbers from. Oh my God, I haven't ordered them in so long. Hang on a second. Let me see if I my brain is good enough to remember it. Oops. Yep, there you go. This will give you believe it or not, I remember it. Leave it to me. It's called discountmylarbags.com. That's literally the word. They're here in Tennessee. That's where I've got them from. You get O2 absorbers and your Mylar bags and other stuff from them too. But that's who I've got mine from. I've never had a problem with any of them. Monica Miller, can I talk about the state of emergency in Georgia? There's not a whole lot to it. I mean, they basically just declared a state of emergency because of the supply chain. They're not expecting as much stuff to get in. They're expecting prices to go up. Okay. How the government is going to be able to help that under a state of emergency, I have no clue. All right. It's not like Governor Kemp can wave a magic wand and, miraculously a whole bunch of trucks show up with toilet paper on them or whatever it would be. So I personally, I think it's more political than practical because you divert funds under a state of emergency. That's great. It doesn't make the product show up miraculously. So what they're going to do about it, that I don't know. Yeah, Kelly Weimers. I thought sake was made from rice. Why do they need corn? And correct me if I'm wrong, but sake's Japanese. There we go. Yeah, why do they need corn? Oh, probably to feed the people if they ever decide to do it. Healthy disrespect for authority. Ooh, a pond. Are we going to get ducks? Okay, so here's the deal. So I was out there this afternoon. We have this. The pond's going to be about 60 by 80. It's not going to be anything massive. Okay, it's going to be big, but so I figure it's going to cover maybe a quarter of an acre-ish. They're somewhere around. Okay, and so taking out all these trees, and there's a lot of trees. I mean, we took down 20 some odd today, and there's still about 5 more that have to come out tomorrow. But there's one tree that's off in one of the corners, and it's a massive oak tree, and it's probably it was got 5 trunks to it. Okay, so I mean, you figure this trunk is probably 6 feet wide. I mean, it's enormous. So there's no way we're getting that out. So what we're going to do is leave that as a little island, and the pond will wrap around it in this back corner, which I figure is a good place for ducks and or turtles to nest, because that's what they look for, is somewhere that's protected. So if we get ducks, they will probably be wild ducks, which is fine by me. If anything, the only thing I worry about is if it brings a deer, because now we're a watering hole for the animals. But that's fine. If they want to come here too and I get hungry, it just makes them easier to get. And I didn't get a nasty look from Mrs. P, so I guess I'm okay. Treasure seekers, get your bartering skills going. I traded 3 dozen fertilized eggs for a tom and a hen turkey. There you go. Okay. Somebody trying to that's going to be an interesting one with the chickens, the poultry. If y'all watched Alaska Prepper, what Rudy was talking about yesterday is, I guess there's something going on between Canada and the United States. He was talking about this, or somebody he knows I think it was the grocery industry or something, where they are planning to do a mass cull of all the birds. And I don't remember if he said it was in 30 some odd states or if it was in the entire country. But that's going to be real interesting if it comes to a point where, oh, gee, we just got rid of all the poultry birds in the country. Told you guys before, the number 1 protein eaten around the world is chicken. Natalia T, given warning signs that the US dollar will soon collapse, do you think investing available funds in lots 2 to 5 acres in South Dakota, Iowa, Texas, Tennessee is a good idea? Got metals, how else to protect the nest egg? Owning land is the best thing you could possibly do, in my opinion. There's other people that are going to say different. It's like, no, they're going to take it from eminent domain, everything like that, and whatever. If you have the ability, if you've got that extra cash, you know me, I have said put it into tangible assets. Land is one of those things that is not a renewable resource. They ain't making any more of it. Okay. If you have the ability to buy land, and you've got all the other bases covered, that would be where I'd go next. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. It's not a liquid asset. That's the thing to remember. It's not like you can just go, okay, I need 20 grand, sell this property. I mean, there's properties around here that have been for sale for 10 years, okay, and nobody wants to buy them. Chances are it's because people are asking too much money for them. But, it's not like gold or silver or, other things that are liquid. But yeah, for protecting assets, land is definitely top of the list. Kay Webbles, where am I originally from? I'll kind of give you 2. Chicago and Detroit. And the reason I say two is because I was born in Chicago, suburbs of Chicago. I lived there until I was 12, and then I went to high school in eighth grade and high school in the suburbs of Detroit. So kind of both. Yeah, that's why I don't have a Tennessee accent. I'm a Yankee. Okay. I've lived all over the country. Originally, that was Chicago is pretty much what my accent is. But it's always funny because I pick up words. So it's like, you know, y'all, I've picked that up from times living in Texas, living here, or whatever would be, you know, wicked from living in Boston. I catch myself every once in a while. I'll throw two different territories in the same sentence. I'm like, okay, your accent or your vocabulary is completely messed up. But you know, I get my point across. Uh Jerry Robbins, pinball. What would chairs look like if people's knees bent the other way? Well, look at how your dog sits. That would be it. Okay, we'd be sitting on hands down. Nice question, though. Guy, have I seen that orb thing that scans your eyes for currency? That I have not, though I have seen the deals lately where they're talking about this chip that you put in your hand to pay for transactions, to open doors, and all this sort of stuff. I've seen that coming up, you know, getting talked about again, media-wise, things like that. No, okay, I'm sorry. I understand if you got to put rods or something in because somebody broke a leg or broke an arm or back or something like that. But computer chips do not belong in my body. Okay. This is the only computer chip I need. It works better than the ones that have bugs in them. Because if you've got bugs in the computer chip up here, there's doctors that can fix that one, not computer technicians. Agnes Young, amoebas have more brains than the current administration. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Single cell organism is smarter than Biden. That single cell organism has one more cell than Biden has in his head. Oh. Paradise Acres Homestead. Have I heard of the hemorrhagic virus killing wild rabbits? Yes, I talked about that a few months back, and it is killed wild rabbits, but apparently I haven't heard much of anything about it getting into the domesticated rabbit, you know, people's rabbit hutch or anything like that. I haven't heard anything about that. So, but yeah, as I talked about the hemorrhagic virus in wild rabbits a few months back. Haven't heard much on it lately. Voodoo Queen. Okay, here's something. And of course, that's when it has to shoot up. She says her seed box has been lost for over a month, and I haven't heard on either one of mine either. Matter of fact, I haven't got emails from anybody on any of the boxes in a couple of weeks. Guys, those seed boxes that we put out, please, if you've got them, please move them along. I mean, we should have long been done by now. Okay, we started this in September. It's now April, so it's what, 7 months that we've been going through this. There were only 75 people on each list, and we should have easily been able to get through person. I mean, I was figuring every 3 days. You know, you ship it express mail. It's there in 2 to 3 days. You get it. The person puts it out the next day. Unfortunately, we've had people that have sat on the box for a week or two, and all that does is hurt everybody else. So if you've got the box, please let me know, and please keep it moving. I know the sent are going across the northern side of the eastern half of the country. So I think last time I heard it was either in Illinois or in Michigan, one of the two. So it's not quite planting season there yet, but a lot of people, you know, a lot of places you already should have had seedlings started and things. So I tried, guys. You know, best I could do. I can't make people follow directions and do stuff promptly. So I tried the best we could. But okay, hopefully if you've got it, please move it on. Okay, I gotta find where we are again. Oh, one woof. The leaves fell off my fig trees. Any idea why? Yeah, I got a real good idea. Fig trees go dormant over the winter, okay? And, they go into deep dormancy, no problem there. If it warms up like we've had here, where you get 70-degree days and they start budding, and then all of a sudden you get a freeze again or hard cold weather, those fig trees have now woken up and they will basically die off. If you go out and look on the branches, if you start seeing what looks like the bark cracking or whatever it is, the trees are done. You're going to pretty much have to take them out and put new ones in. Or if it's just on a branch or something, cut that branch out, because what you're getting are boring insects that get in through that crack in the bark, and they will literally eat the heartwood out of the tree. And that's why you have the dying leaves. If you go out and look and see little, they're like pencil point holes in there, those branches need to go, because that's what you got. You've got insects boring into the wood. Captain Coral, hey Pinball, Coral Tigger here, had to change name. YouTube banned the Coral Tigger account. Good. I want to bring this up, and I mean, I've now heard, I got the fourth person I've heard from today. If you're banned by the mods, by me or something like that, and you don't understand why, text me and ask, or not text me, but email me and ask me, okay? And we can have a conversation about it. I can take a look, okay? And there's some people that ain't ever coming back, all right? But the one that's starting to throw a curve at me is, I heard this from a fourth person today. They sent me an email, says, why did you ban me from the channel? And there's a whole list that I can pull up of everybody that's banned from the channel. There's about 500 people. This is the fourth person now in about the last month who hasn't been on that list. So that means they weren't banned by me. They weren't banned by the mods. That means they were shadow banned somehow by YouTube. And so just letting you know, just because you can't make a comment doesn't necessarily mean it's me or the team. It could be YouTube is the one that shut you off. Upright Patriot, can I talk about home defense tips and tactics in a future video? Not interested in bugging out. I've done videos on this before. I mean, I've done videos on making your own alarm systems. I've got another one that is planned that I'm going to make on defense. I'll probably do that in the next week or so. I've got to put some things together to do it. But I've done videos on, setting up firing lines, how to, what weapon for what. So go back through the channel and take a look. You'll find some that are in there. Like I said, how to make your own alarm system. What weapons to have. How in the weapons video, I think that's the one where I talked about how to create firing lines in your house. In case everything goes SHTF, how to rearrange furniture, things like that. But yeah, there's other ideas that I have that I've got to put together. And now that the weather is getting warmer and stuff like that, I can get outside and do some of this stuff once I get the garden planted. Tom S. says, is your burnt down? Yeah, we talked about that at the top. David and Nikki Banachek, what are my thoughts on Stu Peters' Watch the Water? About half of that video has already been debunked, okay? So, yeah, there's possibilities in there. There's some things that aren't true at all. There's some things that are conspiracy theories, and we all know that conspiracy theories have a tendency to turn into conspiracy facts. But it's worth watching the video, but watch it for knowledge, not for gospel. Okay, that's what I'd say, because there's a lot of stuff in there that is already, like I said, already been proven that is not true. Joshua Mahey, did I get your email about the Dollar Tree selling number 10 cans of food here in Michigan? Yes. And obviously I don't have to repeat that, but yes, check out your Dollar Tree. You may be able to get number 10 cans on the cheap at Dollar Tree. So, Earl Godwin, kitchen compost versus commercial fertilizer in used to be forest ground. I'm gonna go for kitchen compost 10 times out of 10. Okay. And for a couple of reasons. A, your kitchen garbage doesn't cost you anything. Okay. So there's something free. Uh, Commercial fertilizer also is not always going to be around. If everything pans out the way it sure looks like it is, there is no urea or anything like that, you're not going to be able to get commercial fertilizer. So if you can't get it, does that mean you can't grow a garden anymore? No, you need to be able to learn how to do things like our ancestors did, 100 years ago when there was no 10, 10, 10 to go pick up at Home Depot. All right. So, using manures, using clover, using kitchen waste, et cetera, wasting nothing. That's why I've done videos on like making bone meal or how to make your own homemade fertilizer, because those skills are going to come into play. The other thing is, you look at commercial fertilizer. Okay, your bag of triple 13 or 10 10 10 or Miracle Grow or whatever the hell you want to talk about. That's like your plant is now the junkie out on the street corner, waiting for their next fix of Miracle Grow. You need to wean the plants off the chemicals and get them to grow as naturally as possible. If you're talking about in ground that used to be forest, and I'll go right into what I'm talking about here with digging the pond, that whole ground, that whole area over there is all native wild trees. Nothing's ever been built over there ever. Okay. So, I mean, in those trees, there was a pine tree he was trying to get out today that this thing was easily 100 feet high. And I mean, we were doing everything we could to push this thing down. But I mean, there's topsoil there that's 2 feet deep. Okay. I mean, that's thousands of years of leaves falling, decaying, and whatever it would be. That ground is already very fertile. It doesn't need chemicals added to it. Want to keep that fertility up? Keep adding organic matter. That's literally all you need. If you get enough organic matter in your garden soil, eventually you don't need eventually you don't need to add anything to it. Just whatever you take out, put back, chop and drop or something. Chloe Girl 29, do non-silver $half coins and any dollar coins have any worth? 50 cents, or $1. I mean, that's it. Your Sacagaweas or your Susan B. Anthony's or whatever, maybe worth $1.50 or something to a collector or whatever it would be. But they don't have anything more than face value to them. Take it to a coin shop, they'll look at it and go, oh, gee, you know what, it's a 1984 Kennedy $half, it's worth 50 cents. Unless it's something that I'm not a coin collector or anything, but unless there's something specific with, this is a rare mint mark or something like that, but chances are it's worth 50 cents. Purring Lady, in my opinion, will China invade Taiwan before the year is over? Yes. I don't have any question about that whatsoever. They're making it more and more obvious with flying sorties over Taiwan and moving troops and ships and everything like that closer and closer and closer. Tom S., chickens or rabbits? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I'd have a tendency to, if I had to choose, I'd probably say chickens because A, you get eggs from chickens, so you got some use for them. And they probably, I mean, that would be it. You've got 2 different protein sources you can get from chickens, or only 1 from rabbits, because if they mature at about the same, relatively close to the same rate. Jen's Daily Life. Do I think contributing to a flexible Roth IRA is still a good idea, or just put money in something else? Into the Roth, yes. See, I mean, the Roth is always an interesting one because, everybody always says, oh yeah, your money's going to be worth a whole lot more later. And, if you pay the taxes on it now, then you take it out tax free when you retire. Yeah, that's true. But does the money increase in value? If it doesn't, then you're probably hurting yourself. And B, what happens to your tax rate? Okay, that's the thing nobody knows. You know, if you're making, I don't know, pick something. Let's just say you're Joe average and making $50,000 or whatever it is. What does that put you in about the 18% tax bracket? Okay. But once you're retired, now you're down in the 10% tax bracket. Okay, so you paid 18% on the money you took out now versus 10% on the money or the money you put in now versus 10% on the money you took out later. That money's almost got to double for you to break even on taxes. So again, like I say on the money questions all the time, those are so hard to answer because everybody's situation is different. Are you 20, 40, 60, 80? Do you own a house? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? I mean, there's way too many variables in there to answer the question. Leah Defoe, the best way to hide food preps in areas of hard freeze in winter. And this kind of goes back to what a lot of people have said many times. Get yourself a igloo cooler, Coleman cooler, whatever it was. And if you want to, you're hiding them, let's say on a way to a bug out location or even out in your yard or whatever it is, put it in a cooler, not bubble wrap, shrink wrap it. I mean, it doesn't have to be just saran wrap, go over that real well and bury it. I mean, that's the best way that you're going to wind up doing something like that. It'll keep it keeps it insulated to a point. Okay. And then if you can get deep enough, if you can get down to 6 feet, though in Tennessee, good luck digging there without a backhoe, then you're getting a constant temperature in the ground. It's one of those questions, whether you know this or not. Do you know why graves are dug 6 feet deep? Why you're buried 6 feet deep? Because the temperature there is constant. Doesn't matter if it's winter or summer. The temperature there is about 55 degrees. Okay. It could be 110 outside. It could be 20 below outside. The temperature about 6 feet deep is 55 degrees. Miss T, mask me once, shame on our government. Mask me twice, hell no. There you go. Jan Rudd, Pinball, what kind of fish are you planning on putting in your pond? Bluegill, bass, and probably a couple of catfish to keep the bottom clean. Gen Y, Azure is still working. They sent my stuff today, called to thank them, and they're amazing. Yes, it's not their processing plants. This was their headquarters that got torched. Well, I don't want to say torched. It burned down. I don't know what caused the fire. But yeah, they are still working everything. The thing that they have come out and said is the only thing they're going to have problems shipping is oils and fruits, but it's not fruit harvesting season, so that's not going to be a big deal. Lieutenant Frank Drebin. There you go. All right, Leslie Nielsen. A Pinball, hello from upstate New York. Thanks for all your hard work. You do love this family. Well, thank you for appreciating me. Captain Coral, Joshua here in Indiana, the Dollar Tree is completely bare shelves. Yeah, it's going to be talking to the cashier, the store manager. When's the last time you got a truck? When do you expect to get a truck? I mean, again, you think about those stores, sometimes they get the overflow from the grocery store or whatever would be something, a lot of times they're the off-brand stuff, and then again, you remember, these off-brand companies, okay, the other part, and I think North Shore was talking about this the other day, or at least a question on the Walmarts, why are some things hard to find? Companies can't find people to work. I mean, that's the problem. If you're making canned okra and selling it to the Dollar Tree, but you can't find anybody to run the canning line, doesn't matter if there's plenty of aluminum and plenty of okra. If there's nobody to run the line, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's the thing that so many people forget about. All the people that are involved in supply chain. I mean, there's from farm to table is not, farm to producer to uh or from farm to production to grocery store. There's freight brokers and employees and HR people and I mean truck drivers and God knows what. I mean, there's so many people that are involved in everything you buy. All it takes is one, and this is the problem with the just-in-time delivery system. It works so well for not having to keep stuff in the back room. Don't you have more in the back? Works great. Truck comes in, we put it straight on the shelves and go. The problem is when the truck doesn't show up, there's nothing to put on the shelves. Constance S., have you seen where Potato is allowing drilling on federal land? No, that I haven't seen. I saw yesterday that he said they're going to allow more things to be drilled, but nothing on federal land. So if he's changed that today to allowing federal land, that's news to me. Okay, scrolling on down. KC83, is it true Mountain House is no longer selling to retailers due to shortages? From what I've heard, Mountain House has said, I don't know if it's not selling to retailers, but they've said they don't have anything to produce. So whether or not it's going to retailers, I don't. Retailers probably still have some in stock, but I think once that's gone, that's it. The bigger question on this one, and again, this is putting puzzle pieces together. If you all know who Chris Coons is, okay, senator from Delaware, remember where Biden's from. Chris Coons came out yesterday and said he thinks the United States should send troops into Ukraine. Okay, now did that slip? Is he the only one that thinks that, or is Congress talking about that? Is the president talking about it? Chris Coons is Biden's closest confidant, okay, his closest ally in the Senate. Remember, they're both from Delaware, so they know each other well. The deal with Mountain House and any of those other freeze-dried foods, who do you think makes the MREs for the military? Okay, same type thing. If World War III starts and we need to start having MREs made for the military, that's where they're coming from. Instantly the government's going to say, you're making, the hell with preppers, you're making this for our troops. And then there's none. So if they're already short for us, do we know the whole story? Maybe, maybe not. Could be that too. Schulte family homestead. Best way to keep guns safe in a gun safe that will be in a storage container in a South Bend winter. That's something I've never thought of, because I'm guessing you're moving and it's a pod or something like that, what you're going through, because otherwise, I mean, I can't see any reason to have your guns locked up like that unless you're moving. Yeah, I don't have an answer to that one. Ildeco, when do you recommend to buy gold and silver? Or when you recommend to buy gold and silver, do you mean the precious metal or the stocks? Absolutely the metal, not the stocks. Okay. As the line goes, if you can't hold it, you don't own it. No, you want to have physical gold and silver, bars, coins, whatever you prefer, in your hand, in the house, where not in a safe deposit box, not held at the mint, nothing. In your house, in your nightstand drawer, under the mattress, in a safe in the house, whatever you got, okay, where you have access to it, not where you need anybody else to get involved, not where you need somebody at the bank to turn the other key in a safe deposit box. No, you want it where you can go twist, 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 or lift up the mattress and go, it's in my hand. I would not, absolutely not recommend if you're getting into precious metals one way or the other, I would not recommend buying the stocks. You can. I mean, don't get me wrong. Go buy Newmont Mining or Coeur d'Alene Mines or something like that. No big deal. But that's not holding gold and silver. That's not holding precious metals. That's a stock market investment. That's not holding a tangible asset. Tom Larson says it allowed him to change the rules for drivers, hours, and load restrictions. I don't understand the context. Elizabeth Bonilla, do I have an opinion on satellite phones? Yeah, too expensive, and in an EMP, they're gone too. So I'm not interested in it whatsoever. Grumpy old man, I hear people on Social Security may get a 8.9% cost of living increase in 2023. That's huge if it holds up. Awfully early to be hearing something like that. I would have a tendency to say that is probably more political posturing than it is fact, because remember, we're in an election year right now, and the politicians are going to say, oh, gee, senior citizens, vote for me. I want an 8.9% cost of living increase. Then the guy loses, or even if he wins, then the new Congress comes in and you go, we're not doing that. Okay. Remember, Congress has to vote on that sort of stuff. And when has a politician ever told the truth? I wouldn't count on that anywhere. And the other part is, where's 8.9% more to Social Security coming from? Let's print more money. Great. There's more inflation. Yep, that's me. Is this bird flu spreading by the migratory birds? If so, why aren't they dying as well? They are. There's plenty of video out there that you can see where birds literally are just falling out of the sky. Okay. That's the problem. I talked about that the other day. That's the problem with bird flu. Swine flu or mad cow disease or whatever it is. The cows aren't traveling all over the place. They're not going south for the winter. Birds are. So it's a lot easier to spread anything via birds than it is any other way. I mean, birds move around more than people do. There's a lot more birds than there are people too. But, so what better, I got to be careful how I say this, what better medium for transmitting something like that than birds? Read into it as you see fit. Margaret Coates, what's good to put on tomatoes to make them grow better? Depends on when. When you plant tomatoes, definitely put calcium or calcium nitrate or something in a hole. That's going to keep blossom end rot away from. When they start fruiting, you're going to want something that's high in phosphorus. Okay, to start getting. I'm assuming by making them grow better, you mean make them fruit more. You're going to want to boost them with some sort of high phosphorus fertilizer. So, that's when you're going to kick in with some bone meal or something like that. And again, if you're taking the granular stuff, you're going to have to soak that for a while so you can release it, because, your slow release fertilizers are slow release. So, certainly you want to have a good dose of phosphorus and a good dose of calcium for your tomatoes. 5 Acre Gardener, Pinball, please do regular videos on the pond progress. I did. I took video this morning before we started, 30 seconds or whatever it is, so I can put it together. I'll give you some blurbs here and there or whatever it is, just so you guys can check it out. I'll mix it into another video or something like that, because I didn't figure 10 minutes of watching a guy push trees over was of any interest to anybody. But if I can kind of show you what's going on step by step, I planned on doing that. North Shore says Angry Prepper will be live after this hosting Northern Girl Hobbies. Okay, that ought to be fun. I know Jason always goes on at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, so that's always good. But the fact that he's got Northern Girl on, that'll be fun. Hokie Forge, Canada has only 13 provinces. Yes. Let's see. Oh, a couple of people got kicked out of here, I see. Northwoods Mama, Pinball, what do I know about sovereign national rights and lawfully securing your property versus legal ways and means? No, I'm not the person to ask that one. That's a lawyer question. That's not me. Country Humans Grease fan. Pinball bought green beans and corn for 49 cents at Hy-Vee and cereal frosted flakes for 99 cents today to get a deal. Got to get a deal somewhere. Hey, if you found cans of vegetables for 49 cents, that's cheaper than I've seen anywhere in a couple of years. Healthy disrespect for authority. How many nights above the 40s would you wait to put the tomato plants out in the garden? I'm going to start doing some of my planting tomorrow. Finally, this is the last cold spell is supposed to be coming through here. Now, I did look at the forecast. We are supposed to have a couple of nights down 43 or something like that next week. It's supposed to be in the 50s most of. You certainly don't want below freezing. Once the bigger key is you got to have the soil temperature up. Your soil temperature needs to be about 50. And so that was one of the reasons I was telling you the other day about putting the black landscape fabric on there. It can help warm up my soil. But once you look at your consistently above 40, better be consistently above 50. But once you know you're not going to go in the 30s, I think you're okay. I'm still supposed to have days in the 40s, and I'm going to be planting tomorrow. Susan loves Huskies. You better make sure you have mineral rights to the land. Yep. I mean, and that all depends. Some states, again, that's one of those things where make sure you know your state laws because every one of them is different. Boulder Creek Save. What kind of beard oil do I use in this beer? I don't use any. I've got some. I probably haven't used any in 2 months. So this is just shampoo in the morning. I'm gonna try this. Vicinal Victor. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. I built a 50 by 100-foot pond 10 feet deep 2 years ago, stocked it with koi. You must have a plan for heron or your fish will disappear. There are heron around here, yeah. And I'm going to go somewhere between 6 and 8 feet deep. My plan for keeping the heron away is the same as my plan for keeping the deer away, and it's called a border collie. So border collies do real good at that. Let's see. Chantal Hale, I was born and raised in Illinois. I live in Kentucky now. I lived in Kentucky at one point. I lived in Florence, Kentucky, outside of Cincinnati. Saffron Bay's self-sufficiency. Chip in the hand is biblical and a hard no for me. Yeah, no kidding. Mark of the beast stuff. Let's see. American Freedom 911. When government starves you, the Declaration of Independence and the Second Amendment become law. Yeah, pretty much. Casey, how do you dehydrate eggs? That's one I have never tried to dehydrate eggs. I know you can. I've seen people freeze dry them. Wanda at Deep South Homesteads do it. They've done it on Living Traditions Homestead, but I believe that's freeze drying. Dehydrating, I got to think if you, and again, don't quote me on this. I got to think if you scramble them and put them in a pan, that would be the way to do it. I have better luck scramble them, throw them in a sandwich bag, make them flat, and throw them in a freezer, and then you've got scrambled eggs. But many people have said there's all sorts of different ways that you can do it. So chances are people in here have better answers than I do to that question. And shooting to the bottom. Let's see where we are. Going back to the top. Sunshine 67, Pinball, I checked my greenhouse today. The cantaloupe seeds that I got from the seeds are sprouting. Yay! I'm assuming that's from the seed box. So, okay, cool. I have no idea what's in there at this point. So, uh, Brenda Seymour, am I going to aerate my pond? Yes, absolutely, because otherwise the fish will. I mean, it's not big enough that it's ever going to get waves in it or anything like that. So I've got to put an aerator in there, which is the other fun part, which means I've got to run electricity out there. So that will be done, but one step at a time. Let's get a hole in the ground first. Let's see. Saffron's Bay self-sufficiency. Ameriqual in Indiana is #1 MRA maker in the USA. Okay, didn't know that. Jay, I just want to catch a fish with my little girl. I'll give you a real quick story. I mean, obviously my daughter's 22 now, but when I was living in Massachusetts in Tingsboro, Mass. For those of you guys that live up in the Boston area, you know what I'm talking about. And there's a road that basically goes from Lowell into Tingsboro. And there's a lake right there. It's Tingsboro Road. And I took my daughter fishing. This was 2010. So she was like 11, I guess it was. Maybe she was still 10. And we went out fishing, and typical little girl, she doesn't want to put worms on the hooks. So I put the worm on the hook. She goes casts out there, and I go to set up my fish. Dad, I got a fish. So she brings the fish over. I take the fish off, blah, blah, blah. Put another worm on, go back again. I try to set my pole up. Dad, I got a fish. She caught 4 fish before I ever got a line in the water. It was just like crazy. Yes, taking your kids fishing, there's no more excitement on their face than watching them, little bluegill. I mean, they're probably 5-6 inches long, but they don't care. They're catching fish. Purring lady, war presidents always get a bump on their approval ratings. The only bump Biden's going to get is on his head. I don't. Never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. Okay, if World War III started, Joe would figure out how to screw it up. Southern Prepper 3, thanks. We are finally seeing greens of our squash and took your advice. There you go. Good deal. Okay, Monty Culbertson says Biden's permitting drilling on government land but raised the royalties 20%. Sure, hey, you know what? Let's just tax the companies to the point where it's not profitable to drill. That'll make sense. Okay, I'm guessing this is Mongo 0317. Planted songbird seed 3 years ago. Nothing but crows. Yeah, I mean, we've got, all sorts of stuff. Mrs. P feeds between thistle and millet and sunflowers and cracked corn and God knows what, but it keeps the birds out of the gardens. So, but it's an expense. Gibson girl, catching fish is easy, hook and worm. Yeah, there's a little bit more to it than that. Rooster says always buy physical gold and silver. Absolutely agree. Realist, a regular light bulb in gun storage, great dehumidifier. Okay, that I've never heard of. Okay, the problem is then you got to drill a hole in your gun safe. Carlo Palmer, Mr. P, my silver is all rounds. With gold, would you suggest a coin or a round? Actually, what I've got for gold is little 1-ounce bars, and I will tell you exactly why. For my silver, I've got rounds. For gold, I have 1-ounce bars. Why? They're still 1-ounce capacity, not for the coin or the shape or anything like that. And if I can get a 1-ounce gold bar cheaper than I can get a 1-ounce gold coin, I still own 1 ounce of gold, but I just got paid less for it. So again, I don't care what the format is, as long as I'm not saying go out and buy gold rings, okay? But rounds, bars, coins, whatever you can get at the best price, that's the way you want to go. And it's 2 minutes to 9 already. Great. Be charming. I'm assuming this is talking about Social Security just means Medicare goes up. Never happens. That's right. Okay. I'd prefer to invest my own to pay into Social Security. Ain't that the truth? Okay. Because the only, and I get that. The only problem that you get then, and again, remember, this is coming from somebody who worked Wall Street, is people would go, oh, cool. You know what? I'm going to throw everything I've got at pets.com or something like that. And then when the company goes broke and they're 65 years old and they go, I got no money, they come back and go, government, you need to help me. Wow. Okay. That's the second time I've seen my screen just disappear there. Brilford Wimley. Are analog CB radios vulnerable to EMP? I don't know. I'd have a tendency to think no, but don't quote me on that one. I'm not sure. And it's 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna look and see if I got one more. Wow, I don't know what's up with the computer. Ink Scars, should I build a DIY root cellar or build a chicken coop and start raising chickens? Plus with bird flu now. Go watch the video I had on how to build a DIY root cellar. Literally, it'll cost you about $40. If you can buy a galvanized trash can and dig a hole, you've got a root cellar, and it works fine. I put mine out there. We were eating potatoes until they were gone, and that we'd harvested in July. We just finished eating our last potatoes out of there in March, and the ones I had left, I planted and they're growing. So, yeah, you could probably do both. $40 for a galvanized trash can, and you've got a root cellar. All right, let me let you guys out of here. Go over to Jason's. Go watch Angry Prepper and Northern Girl Hobbies. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. See y'all in the morning. Pinball out.